Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, sponsored by Arnold Clark. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Rough, Darren Jackson and Hugh MacDonald are here with me. We'll be talking about league reconstruction, of course, Rangers and the evidence that they have of wrongdoing. And we'll also hear from Motherwell manager Stephen Robinson. He's our one-to-one. As ever, we like to start the programme off with our quiz question. Easy one there, and what a good player he was too. Anyway, George Bruce was first on our show on Facebook Live there. Well done to you, George. You must have been sitting there at the computer ready and able to get on as quickly as that. James Marshall, Alex Kelly, good to see you, Alex. Dougie Liddell, Chris Thompson, Stephen Fee, Brian Barnes, Nicky Twig, to name but a few. Lee Shanley, as ever, all joining us on Facebook Live. And of course on YouTube as well. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Fairly straightforward stuff. If you're smart enough, Roughie, what you do is you go onto YouTube. You just basically, you can go on your Sky network, go down to apps, over to the app, YouTube, click on it, PLZ Soccer, and you're there, Roughie. It's even simple to someone who may well be celebrating their birthday and is in the latter stages of their 60s, Roughie. That's all I'm saying to you.
Yes, and he's looking well on it as well. You know, obviously, he won't be drinking, obviously. And is that a present, Hugh? Is that a present?
That's
oh,
that's
that
me.
is my... Hugh, it is
That's
your
it.
birthday, and I must say, happy birthday to you. What age are you?
65, and this is my wee all in with the gnomes. A wee Borussia Dortmund gnome.
Which is
What else?
sensational. And
What as a man at 65 needs? But I'm not. I must say, I'm not going to raffle it or auction it like Barry Ferguson or Darren. I'm going to be selfish and keep it for myself, I'm afraid.
yeah, and rightly so. At 65, am I right in thinking then, Hugh, for a man who has everything, you know, that's the pension sorted, that's the retirement, you get the bus pass, you get it all now.
I've got it all, cheap rail fare. I also got regular phone calls now, Peter, from undertakers wanting to sort out the next step for me. Wanting their agents wanting to arrange my next move. Apparently that's once this contract runs out, I've got a big deal at Daldowie. Peter, hope to see you there.
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, Hugh, you've got another good 10, 20 years in you, my man. We hope to have you on this programme for as long as is humanly possible, because there's always a place, Darren, for somebody as cantankerous as Hugh is over the course of the 8 years that we've known him on this programme. So, I'd have to say, Darren,
he was missed last week.
Oh, he was missed last week, but that's what happens when you're 64, you know bugger all about how to work the bloody equipment that I bought you. But other than that, Darren, you're looking more tan than Roughie, and that's not usually the case.
Well, it's been good weather, Peter, and I tracked the sun, so I've enjoyed doing my work in the morning and getting out in the afternoon and sitting in the sun.
Magic stuff. Okay, we hope you're all safe and well. Lots to talk about on the programme, as well as that one-to-one with the Motherwell manager, Stephen Robinson. Hi to Paul Baird, Matthew Hugh, Willie Gibson, Joseph Byrne. Nicole has joined us. Thank you, Nicole, for joining us on this programme on YouTube as well. So subscribe to YouTube, like, share and follow us on Facebook. And what about the reconstruction? Well, that's just emerged over the last 15 minutes or so. Roughie, suddenly the league will be discussing 14, 16. So there's a twist we didn't see coming.
Yeah, we knew that the committee were all looking into a lot of different versions of the leagues. That certainly wasn't one we were looking at. And every time somebody suggests that's what it's going to be, we have another suggestion of people who don't like it. So we'll have to wait and see who this doesn't suit. I would would that mean that Cove and Edinburgh City don't get promoted?
What a good question that is. Well, I would imagine. Let me think about that now, Roughie. The two teams come in at the bottom, which makes it 14. I would suggest to you, I would think that's right, Roughie. Actually, 14. Two would come up from the Championship. Two would come up from League One. Two would come up from League Two. So they would get promoted, Roughie.
Yeah, but where would you find the other? Well, I know you got Kelty and Brora, but who are the other two then to make it 16?
Well, it's going to be 14. There's only 3 leagues: 14, 14, and 16. So yeah, they would probably stay in that division. I beg your pardon. They would stay in that division. Would they be miffed at that?
Most definitely, I would think so. We keep talking that we don't want to be punishing anybody, and they come into that category. You know, they've done, when we've spoke about the clubs, how well they're run and the objectives and everything. And yeah, I think they seriously would be miffed with that.
Yeah, I don't think you can please everybody, Hugh. There's no way you're going to please everybody, is there?
Absolutely not. And I think, and I've said this from the beginning, there's probably no way, I wouldn't say no way, but it's very, very hard to get any reconstruction through. We've spoken to people on this programme, Peter, that are kind of already, whatever came up with, where they're going to be too pleased about it. Got to remember the crucial thing about this is if you allow another 2 teams in, it dilutes the television money as well, the percentage. So I think, there is one aspect of it is to get a proposal. The bigger aspect, and perhaps the most difficult one, is to get a proposal through. So it's a long way away from any kind of resolution.
Yeah, although I would say, Roughie, I don't think Cove and Edinburgh City will be too miffed at the fact they remain in a league, because if they do indeed move into the 14, then there are only 3 leagues anyway, Roughie.
Yeah, you're baffled me now.
No, there are only 3 leagues because it goes because it's 14, 14, 14, and 16. So Cove and Edinburgh City, effectively, with everybody else in League 2, would move up into one league. Do you understand me? It's going to be Premiership, Championship,
Championship, and League One.
Yeah. Do you get that, Roughie?
Okay. Yeah, I get that. So does that mean there's no teams? Does that mean the Clydes and all that aren't being punished there either? Then they're not going to drop into that 16. Well, that's what we want. That's what we want.
Basically,
that's the scenario.
Nobody relegated. 2 come up from the Championship. 2 come up from League One into the Championship as well. And, eventually you've only got 3 leagues. You get your Premiership, Championship, and effectively League One. Am I right in that thinking, Hugh? Tell me I'm right.
You're absolutely right. We've just lost a league. We've lost one league.
It's Roughie. What he does is he actually throws a grenade in because he hasn't actually thought about it, and then I start doubting my sanity. That's what he does to me.
Peter, is it so? There's 12 in the Premiership, so 2 will come up to make 14, right?
Yes.
So that leaves 10 in League One. So is 4 going to have to come up then?
Yes.
So 4 will come up.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, then that's fine.
So it'll be 2 14s and a 14s and a 16. So
I think everyone's winning there, Roughie. Do you not think so? No getting relegation.
Yeah.
The 2 teams I think deserve, when it was 14, 14, 14, I didn't think it was right for Brora and Kelty. And it's not nothing to do with Barry. It's just a lot of people have spent a lot of money and investments and time into those clubs for a goal at the end of it, and for not to give them that would be wrong.
I think there's another thing that's just come out here. Yeah, Hugh?
I agree totally here, because I think one of the most vibrant things in Scottish football over the last few years has been the way that clubs have reacted to the pyramid system. So that if you do go down to Kelty, with Barry, you're seeing sold out games with hospitality. I went up to Cove to interview Paul Hartley earlier this season. That is a really well-run club with, you know, smashing wee ground. I mean, Edinburgh City too have been fantastic to get into the seniors, and there's teams absolutely desperate again, like Bonnyrigg Rose. Once the juniors come about with the Talbots, Alconlake Talbots and Cumnocks, they'll be wanting to see their way up. So I think that the bottom should be, you know, really encouraged.
Yeah, well, still to see the meat and bones in this and how it's all carved up, but that's certainly what they're voting on. 14, 14 and 16, although I'm just looking here and there appears to be a rule, Hugh, that if you have 3 T's in your name of your club, then you're penalised £100,000 and you drop immediately into the bottom division. So I don't know who that would affect, Hugh, but apparently if you've got 3 T's in the makeup of your first name, then you're dropped completely.
I wouldn't want to be dropped. I've never seen Alan Moore. I've never seen Alan Moore through the legal reconstruction. He goes when you read that out, you know. It's all about the Thistle, I'm afraid, Peter.
We're dropping Thistle next year.
Yeah, you're dropping it.
Yeah.
That's thought you might say that, Roughie. Anyway, apart from anything else, that's how it's going to look. 14, 14 and 16. What do you make of that? Are you all for it? I certainly think Barry would be well up for that as well. There's a few clubs who might be against it, but we'll find out. What I can tell you is it needs 11-1 of a vote from the Premiership and then 75% from all the other leagues, Darren. So there's still a hurdle to go if that's the only thing on the table.
Well, I think what Hugh's just said, if it dilutes the money, people are going to look at it and say, after obviously what we're going through, can we afford to dilute the money by bringing more people in? But I think it's good, Peter. I think it's 3 leagues. I think it would be more competitive. And I think, as I've just said, I think it's only fair that the 2 teams who had a goal at the start of the season to get promotion into the SPFL leagues, they're given that and they're not denied that because of the teams in the lower leagues have turned around and say, well, we don't want them if we're not going to have the proper finance.
Okay, the other thing I was going to say was someone actually just said there, and hopefully I've got it correct. Hi, Darren, it was great to see you in the Waterloo bar just over a month ago. So there you are. People are even following where you're drinking. As simple as that. Were you in the Waterloo bar over a month ago, Darren? Look at the look on your face. Were you there?
Waterloo bar.
Where is the Waterloo bar, Roughie?
It's just in Glasgow.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what it is? It's a great place. One of my friends, actually, she sings in there in the Waterloo bar. They have a great karaoke in the Waterloo bar. Hugh, I don't know if you've ever been in it.
No, well, it's in Waterloo Street, isn't it? Cunningly, yes. It's hidden. The Waterloo bar is cunningly hidden in Waterloo Street. It's a long time since I'm probably still barred, Peter.
Yeah, but to be fair, by the way, I must admit she's the friendliest, happiest girl I've witnessed in many a time, Christine. And I know Christine goes in there and she sings regularly in the Waterloo bar. She's a fabulous chanter. So if you ever get a chance, there you are, a wee plug for Christine because it came into my head.
I would definitely be singing, that's for sure.
No, I agree with you. You definitely wouldn't be singing. Although, I notice you're wearing your Saturday Night Fever outfit today, Darren, eh? So, you might not be singing, but you'll definitely be dancing in it.
I just got a white shirt on today.
I thought it was Omar Sharif we had on the night.
Yeah, absolutely. He does look a bit Hollywood, I have to tell you. Okay, other things that we're going to talk about on the programme, and thanks so much to so many people for joining in. There's Niall Kane as well, and Niall Kane says Darren looks like John Barrowman and he looks fabulous. Well, there you are, Taz. Big thanks to Niall for that compliment towards Darren. And also, Laurie, who got a wee shout out yesterday, but I think it's only right and proper we do this. She says, can you give a shout out to my wee girl, Dee Smith? She was jumping for joy yesterday after you were able to shout out my name. So, Dee Smith, if you're there, and you're watching the programme. Dee, we're absolutely delighted that you're watching the programme and you're sticking with us. You are a proud member. Just remember, at this point, like, share and follow with your mum and tell all your friends, Dee. Delighted that you're with us. Next point, Roughie. The governing body will meet with government ministers, probably actually talking right now about the resumption of sport across Scotland. Scottish Rugby's involved in it as well, but the Sports Minister, Joe Fitzpatrick, and Professor Jason Leach. 2 discussion points on the agenda: the financial and economic impact of COVID-19 on the sport and how and when sport can resume safely, I would imagine, will also be discussed.
Yes, I listened to Saturday show, the doc from the SFA. I think he was on for about 2 hours on Saturday. It was absolutely amazing, some of the things he was coming away with, the things that you would have to do to get football back on the road. And the more and more he discussed it, you have to say to yourself, the more and more it's not going to happen, not behind closed doors anyway, with the resources that we've got. So I think we should get the league reconstruction sorted. Let's look forward to when football's going to start and start again, because I think we've all said it on the show that it's the health people that are going to decide when football starts. It's not going to be Neil Doncaster. He's not going to be making this decision. He might make a decision about the leagues and that kind of thing. But for me, it'll be the government who decide when we actually start playing football or get back to try and play football.
Yeah, I mean, we're hanging on the words of the First Minister on a regular basis, and of course Jason Leach as well, and what he has to say about isolation and of course safe distancing from anyone that you're in contact with outside of the house and your close family. But nevertheless, I think we've got to emphasise this again. We've mentioned it on numerous occasions, Hugh, but I think, as Roughie rightly pointed out there, Dr. John McLean, who's a wise man indeed, mentioned Roughie, will you stop moving your mic about? Everybody can hear it. It's unbelievable. Every time you move it, I can hear it. It's incredible, Hugh. It's incredible, Hugh. John McLean mentioned there that the real problems will be people actually being able to get into a stadium and safely in that stadium and tested. You only have to look at what's happening in the Bundesliga. Suddenly we've got 10 footballers who've contracted coronavirus, and that's set them back.
Yeah, there's going to be a degree of process to go through to get stadiums back to anything like normal. I mean, the problem initially is, closed door games. The amount of testing that has to go on even for that will be beyond the financial capability of Scottish football. Frankly, they can't have that. They can't have. They don't have that money to test. So, whilst you can see it in the Bundesliga and certainly La Liga, and I would suspect the EPAFL, who have that money, and remember what they really want, Peter. Rather than they can survive without people coming through the door, they just want a product that the TVs can take a feed from, and it saves them paying any rebate to the television contracts. The problem in Scotland is much, much different. Most of our money and most of our revenue comes through the door, and I see that. I'm now in the camp, Peter, that I don't see Scottish football in any real sense happening until after Christmas.
Yes, I think I almost certainly don't see any fans getting into any sporting event before the end of this year. That's a Stonewall certainty. It'll be interesting. We're going to hear the thoughts of Motherwell manager Stephen Robinson very shortly, but Michael Kidd has just sent a message on Facebook. What's happening with the Rangers statement? Well, what's happening indeed, Roughie? Suddenly, we have a delay of 24, possibly 48 hours on this statement that we're all licking our lips, looking forward to. What's the delay? If you've got the evidence, you've got the evidence.
I think maybe a wee minor delay is what's happening today. They don't want to clash with what's happening in this big meeting today, because that's obviously going to be put out there. Maybe they're wanting a free run with nothing happening, and they want to get as much exposure as possible, because we're going to be talking about what's happening in the meetings today. So And that's the only thing I can think of. You know, again, we're just hanging on to wait and see what's going to happen.
Yeah, the delay is a couple of days, Hugh, and it's a couple of days more for, I think, Neil Doncaster and Rod Mackenzie to sit there, wait and wonder what is the evidence and if it's going to stand up.
Yeah, and if Rod Mackenzie and Neil Doncaster had been suspended, you know, pending pending the inquiry and pending the evidence being presented, it would be this has been going on for the best part of a month. I mean, we've said it all along. This evidence, you know, should have been put up, and okay to say, oh well, you know, we're just putting the final touches to it. There's been statements over the last couple of weeks about this evidence. There's been constant sniping in the media and in social media about you know, alleged evidence in the dossier. I mean, the time really has come. They've got to put up something. They've got to come up with something now. I fear, Peter, as well, no matter what is in this dossier, the Scottish football will revert to a real polarisation on it anyway. You know, say it comes out on the Richter scale that, you know, this dossier on a scale of 0 to 10 is a 5. People on the Rangers side will build it up to a 10, and people, shall we say, crudely on the SPFL side will reduce it to 0. I think now, unless they've got a real smoking gun, that this will just all denigrate into more civil war.
Well, before I get to Darren on that point, because it's funny actually, you know, when we first signed Darren for this programme, Roughie, he was so looking forward every week to chatting about football. but he's now mired in all the things that he hates talking about. But I'm going to go back to Hugh on this one point, which is quite simply, I think you're right. I think if there's anything here, I think the SPFL have in their you know, legal counsel the need to actually hammer this home without any grey areas that make it a 5 out of 10, Hugh. I think they've got to nail this down and come out, you know, as hard as they possibly can by saying coercion, no, bullying, no, all suggestions of impropriety, no, and if you want an independent investigation based on what you've got, if everybody votes for it, then go to the independent investigation and let's see, because you cannot call for the heads of two people without something concrete. I don't think we can leave any grey areas here, Hugh, or a slight stain on something, you know, everybody's subjectively saying, well, you might not view this as bullying or coercion, but we do. I think that's what you're alluding to, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's where people try and come in and sort of manufacture it to their own special, almost special pleadings, where they'll be wanting to say things like that and this. I think it has to be nailed down, like you say, Peter, immediately.
Yeah, Tony Hutchison says a legal team would have it nailed within a day, Peter, if there was 100% proof. Well, Tony, believe me, you know, we are living in Scotland, and, you know, even when you get definitives on various things that have happened over the last 20 to 30 years in Scotland, some people are still arguing about it, Tony. So don't you worry. If we can find a grey area in Scottish football, we somehow managed to find it, Darren, because fans latch onto it, and as Hugh mentioned there, they grasp onto whatever their agenda is and embrace that.
100%, Peter. I saw it in the papers today. Their statements delayed by a couple of days because it was with their legal team. Now, I would have thought, as Hugh said, about 4 weeks. I thought it would have been with our legal team right away to make sure everything was spot on and there was nothing wrong with it. So I find that very strange. And I'll go back to what we said last week, that the John Gagan scotoma, you'll hear what you want to hear and you'll believe what you want to believe, Peter.
Yeah, but if I was, you know, Stuart Robertson and the Rangers board and I had something really concrete, I'd be making sure it's locked tight, going for it vigorously. And if I was Neil Doncaster and Rod McKenzie and this one didn't stick, I would be turning it right back the other way, because I do think, Hugh, that unless they have something concrete here, and especially because he's on the board, I think Stuart Robertson's position is untenable on that board. And I also think there will be major questions asked of them if they do not have something here that sticks.
Absolutely, and you've got to remember as well that imputations have been made to the professional character and behaviour of two people who will hold their integrity and their personal reputations rightfully very highly. You know, one of them is a lawyer in Rod McKenzie, and of course Doncaster's got a legal background as well. So they will be looking at this pretty closely, because they have been hammered on this. You know, they have been. We'll have to wait for the evidence, but if the evidence doesn't stand up, there'll be a great case for them, I would imagine, to say that they've been traduced by this. On the Stuart Robertson point, I think Stuart Robertson's position on the board's been untenable for a month now. I don't think I don't know how you can have group discussions with him in the room moving forward when he's still his club's still heavily carping about a democratic vote. And I don't know how you can continue to have statements sent out from the SPFL that contain 8 signatures except somebody else on the board. It really is, it's really, we're entering into, gone beyond farce and entering into slapstick now.
Well, Kenny McCallion, I think, is indicative of quite a number of Rangers fans on the view of Neil Doncaster. Now, you could go back through a little bit of history on this, whether there's a feeling of they want to try and get this guy for misdemeanours of the past, although I don't think he's guilty of anything. Kenny McCallion says, Scottish football is an embarrassment. Let's be upfront, guys. Neil Doncaster is not fit for purpose. Now, I don't know about you, Roughie, but you know, you can like him or loathe him. He's got that kind of a Marmite feeling around some of the SPFL, but he is, after all, a representative of the clubs. He is the man who, obviously, as a chief executive, will try and drive them forward, but more often than not, he is basically just there as the head of the SPFL, and most of his direction comes from the club. So I think Kenny's assertion that he's not fit for purpose is still to be determined, but I do get the feeling that a number of Rangers fans view him as the villain for the club after it came out, after liquidation, the club starting in League 3.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's responsible for that at all. You know, I think you've just touched on it there. He is ahead of I think it's a 7-man committee. I don't think for a minute he's the one that would come in and tell everybody what they're going to do. I think they would discuss it as they have been doing just now. And just because you don't like it doesn't mean he's the guy who gets it. You know, he's the guy who's coming into the steps and telling everybody this is what we've discussed and this is the way ahead. So, I mean, you might not agree with some of the stuff they come out with, but it's a group. It's a group for me. It's not just one person.
Okay, I've just got a message coming in here, guys, just to give you an up-to-date on what's happening. You know, there's always an email and a press release in the middle of this show that I have to quickly grasp. This one says, everyone involved in these discussions recognises the importance of sport to many people in Scotland and wants to see it resume as soon as possible. This is obviously the release coming from today's meeting. We all agree that can only happen once it is safe to do so, and the focus at the moment must be the continuation of measures to slow the spread of the virus, protect the NHS and save lives. It's important all organisations continue to share best practice and information as well as learning from other countries, as we have to develop a phased return for sport which reflects Scotland's circumstances. I'm encouraged by today's constructive initial talks and confident further partnerships working together will enable that to happen safely and at the right time. The group will maintain an open dialogue in the weeks ahead to share any relevant information and discuss phased return options, and that's from the Sports Minister, Joe Fitzpatrick, on today's talks. So no real surprise there, Hugh.
No, I mean, it'd been an absolute shock if there'd been any firm decisions taken today. I think this is just, I think today was just to set down where the clubs were, what the club issues were, and how severe the crisis is to Mr. Fitzpatrick, who, by the way, would be well apprised of that. He would know that. And I think they're just going to set up some parameters where the Scottish Government's going to set them. There's going to be a series of ways to get them back. There's going to be a series of procedures and a series of boxes that we need to tick. We're all on the same page here. We all want what's best for the country and for the country's health. And we do know that sport, is important within that. So I think it was just today is just a sort of holding exercise going forward. And I'm not saying that as a criticism, Peter, because at the moment, what else can it be? We're still in the middle of a pandemic, and nobody knows, when we're going to get out of it. Nobody knows what a second wave might look at. So I think this was just a get the heads together. Let's come out and we're all on the same page, and we're all wanting what's best for the country.
Yeah, absolutely. Here on that one. Incidentally, I don't want to go back down the route of, I suggested some Rangers fans might hold it against Neil Doncaster for what happened in 2012. I don't want to, talk about it, rewrite history on it. We all know what happened. Certainly wasn't Neil Doncaster's fault, but just in case, as I can see emerging across YouTube and Facebook, the people who are all going nuts and start, you know where they're going with it, guys. I can see by the smile on your faces, apart from Roughie's, who's got a serious look on his face with this issue. Anyway, apart from anything else, thanks to all the people who are sticking to the football and, of course, trying to make very valid points. Dutch proposal. Here's one, Roughie, that came out. How do we look at it? The SPFL, obviously, in the lower leagues, we are potentially, over the next couple of weeks, going to get some kind of decision on the league. But UEFA say they are studying a proposal put to them by a Dutch sports business specialist, Hypercube. And this is a proposal which stretches over 3 seasons. With 2 of the seasons altering when we play, trying to get this season finished by, I think actually looking, Roughie, it says here, to complete this season from the end of October and complete the leagues by the start of December. So they would shift the whole axis of the league campaign, when it starts, when it finishes, and then it eventually falls back into the regular place 3 years from now. I can't see that happening, Roughie, can you?
No, I can't see it happening either. It seems an ideal opportunity. I think if you listen to most of the clubs, they would prefer to play out the season in some way or another. But again, we're going back to what the health people are saying. They're saying that's not going to happen. Hugh's already said we're not going to be playing football till after December. I'm sure they must be in the same time zone as us. So I think it's just hopeful more than anything else. If we could just say, yeah, that's going to happen, yeah, we'll all do it. But I don't think it's going to happen.
I'll tell you one thing. I'm so glad we don't have the PFA chief executive from down south up here because, Darren, that really would make us the complete asylum because, he's suggesting games are lasting less than 45 minutes each half now. I'm not sure changing the duration of the game will make any difference to the fact that if somebody's infected in a ground, you're infected,
Are you only going to catch it in the last half hour? Off a game? I thought that was incredibly strange. And I saw that in the paper today about trying to get obviously started again, and they were talking about no away fans and only a limited number of fans. You could go with your family. I can't see that working either, Peter. I mean, I know you've got to exploit everything. We all want it back. And last week I was really for it, but the health, and I just think it's going to be very hard for the league to start again. But I thought that one was a very strange one, that we'll cut the 45 minutes at each half. Was incredibly strange for Gordon Taylor.
It's amazing what you'll do, Hugh, when you're trying to make sure you don't lose £1 billion.
Well, this is it. I mean, what we've got to look at in terms of prerogatives and in terms of imperatives is that the English game is completely different to the Scottish game. I mean, the Scottish game relies on fans coming through the door. That's their lifeblood. The lifeblood for the English Premier League is the money paid in by broadcasters. And the great fear, of course, in the English Premier League is that if the broadcasters come round and say, fine, as you call the season, but you owe us £750 million, and can you divvy it up, please, and send it in a postal order to us as soon as you can. Now, that is a real real difficulty for them, and so they would play tiddlywinks live if they thought the broadcasters would buy into it. And what I think will happen here if is a limited behind closed doors thing, Peter, because they can pay the money for it. They can pay the 10 grand for testing. They can pay everything. And I think that will happen. And if it doesn't happen and they still come up short in the broadcasting, sort of what they've got to give to the broadcasters, I think they'll give them more next year in terms of maybe more games for a lower price, but more access to players coming off the park, maybe access to dressing rooms, little sweeteners like that.
Yeah,
Peter,
I think Remy.
Peter, I saw that they were talking about in England as well that it'd be neutral venues, and they were talking about like Brighton Stadium. It's been purpose built and it's not surrounded by houses, like Anfield, Goodison, places like that couldn't be used. So they've got the opportunity for that, where again we don't.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's offering, some sensible options, some ridiculous ones. But of course, I think the general feeling I get from people on YouTube and Facebook on here is nothing's going to happen from the fans' point of view until a vaccine is found, which will help people to move. Even if you get to the trace situation, even if the app is working well, not only piloted in that, but all across Great Britain, it's still going to have to be testing. And then, of course, the vaccine, which is the all-important factor here before we get mass movement and certainly, thousands of people going into football grounds. Ramy Docherty takes us slightly off the beaten track of football and says, I think Darren Jackson looks like David Dickinson. So there you are. It's sometimes it can go well for you, Darren. Sometimes it can't. It's as simple as that. There's all sorts of people offering. That's the great thing about this program. Even one little thing that looks not right, you're getting hammered. It's simple as that, Roughie.
Yeah, wait till the next time he goes to the supermarket, somebody identifies him for the shopping thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We wait to see. Ricky Irvin says, no one won the league in Holland, as both were level on points. Of course, Ricky, we are aware of what happened in Holland. I think they were looking for all sorts of permutations as to how they could finish it, couldn't come up with it. And I think lots of people here are eventually getting round to the feeling that it's just not going to happen. Certainly, when I listen to some of them in England, slowly catching up with what Scotland had already deduced over 4 weeks ago, Hugh, it beggars belief. Yeah. You think they were talking as if they'd gone on a university course.
I know it's been really, but I think that a lot of the punditry has been really strange, and even up here when you've heard people saying, "Oh, we should do feasibility studies about finishing the season, etc., etc." The reality is really biting, Peter. When you've got reports of 9 Premiership clubs in Scotland saying they won't have a team next year, because of contracts ending. There was a very interesting piece put out yesterday by Blair Alston, the Falkirk player, who pointed out the reality of life as a footballer in Scotland, where not only is your contract basically a season, but for many of the players and for a vast majority of the players in those short contracts, the contract's only 10 months. So these people are running out of their contract now. They're not running out of it in July. They're running out as soon as May hits. So it's a completely different scene up here. And I think now the real, there's 2 imperatives, Peter. One is to call the season, and another one is to get around and see when we can get back That is the two simplistic statements.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, when they call the season, Darren, there's going to be what I would call another holy war, because quite simply there'll be fans of some teams, but I'll be perfectly blunt with you. There'll be fans of Rangers. They're just not having it. I mean, I know former footballers of Rangers who are just not having the title being called, and they're not going to be happy. They're just going to be stamping their feet.
100%, Peter. And we know that everyone's said it, everyone's come out with it. We want the season finished, but if you cannot finish the season and you have to call champions, you have to call Celtic the champions. They're 13 points. They're 13 points ahead. So, I mean, I don't see what other alternative there is to that. And if you look at the form, I think they've lost. I think Celtic have lost. So Celtic have lost 10 points in the last 30 games. So it didn't look as though they were going to drop as many points. And you never know what can happen in a season. I'll give you that. But if you're going to call the season, they've got to call Celtic the champions, because they are 13.
Yeah, okay. Alec Kelly says, Peter, I thought you were going to wear a Davy Cooper shirt today. I was, Alec, but would you believe all those are in a lovely box, Roughie? We've got them for our company, and mine is in a box somewhere in this house, and I'm definitely going to find it sooner or later, and get it on, because now that Darren's got that white Saturday Night Fever shirt, I can get away easily with a Davy Cooper shirt, let me tell you. Stephen Robinson's just about to come up, but I was going to tell you this, guys. 10 years ago, this very day, I was at Fir Park watching a game which was best described as completely and utterly mental. Two rank rotten defences, 6-all was the score. I watched some of my mates who are Motherwell fans leave when it was 4-2. I watched even more of them leave when it was 6-2, with no faith in their side to come back. But as we know, it was just an incredible night, and I think Jutkiewicz is still lauded among Motherwell supporters for his equaliser in the game. I mean, it was just, Roughie, it was the most outrageous game I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, I don't think there'll be many games where there's somebody winning 6-2 and they throw it away. You would have think in this day and age that professionally enough they'd have been able to see the game out, but obviously they didn't. These all credit, for a spectator's point of view, it must have been fantastic to watch as the goals went in. But you're right, two poor defences, and but a great excitement, and there was some good goals as well as there were some bad ones.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bad day, Darren, when you score a hat-trick. Colin Nish got a hat-trick and still didn't get the 3 points.
No, but I think you're being negative there, Peter, by saying poor defences. Why not be positive and say brilliant attacking play?
Yeah. That's one way.
If there's 12 goals in a game, the attacking play's been, I would think, it's been good.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. And that's one way to look at it until you actually listen to the defenders who were actually playing in the game, and they were discussing it in a corner when apparently Ian Murray turned round and Stephen Craigan said, Ian Murray says to Stephen Craigan, I know we're ahead by 4-2 or 6-2, but yous could get an equaliser in this game because we can't defend. What does that tell you, Darren, when a player admits his defence is rotten?
Well, yeah, you've got a problem there, especially when the other team's lost 6 and you still think you can get back in yet. Because normally, not people have 6-2, your confidence just goes and you're shattered. But fair play for them to come back into it. But once you get that third goal and you probably see the other team being a bit nervous, you think, oh well, there's a wee chance here, and there was.
Yeah, great game, Hugh.
I was there as well, Peter. That's the way. I mean, strangely, it's a really curious coincidence, really, that 10 years ago today was my birthday as well. So I don't know how. That's how I spent my birthday, running out of fingers, counting up the goals again. And one of the incredible things as well is that people slightly forget about that. Was at one point Motherwell had a penalty, and they missed the penalty as well. So it was 6 each. I mean, Andy Devlin of The Sun, who's my carer as you know, regularly at football matches. Told me what team was hitting, what strips people were wearing and all that. He maintains to this day that I'm still at Fir Park waiting for the tiebreak because of the 6-6. So he maintains that. But what a game. The most incredible thing about it, though, was the last goal, Peter. You remember where we sit in that Motherwell stand and you could see it just dropping to Jukovic. And it's the only time, and I'll say this, and people who know me will agree with this, it's the only time I've ever been out of my seat and professionally at a football match. Because when I went in the top corner, I just stood up, I just went, oh my goodness, what a way to end this match. Yeah, incredible day.
Peter,
yeah, absolutely. You can always...
It was live on the television, was it not? I'm sure I can remember sitting watching it.
It was.
You think?
Ian Croft in the
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it might be. You may well be right on that, Darren. It was incredible. The one thing I always take from these games is, although it's 6-6, my heart usually always goes out to the journos who are writing for newspapers, because boy, did that top line change regularly right until the last minute of that game. It was absolutely incredible, and a couple of people's computers actually packed in because it ran out of gas just trying to consistently keep up with it all. Anyway, apart from anything else, it was good to catch up with the Motherwell manager Stephen Robinson earlier to get his thoughts on all things Scottish football. Well, I'm delighted to say I'm joined by Motherwell manager Stephen Robinson. First question, Stephen, you and the family fit, safe and well?
Yeah, thankfully, everybody's okay at the moment. My oldest boy, he's stuck in Northern Ireland with his girlfriend, so he's probably happy with that because he's not staying with me at the moment. But yeah, everybody's good at the moment. Mum and Dad and all are safe and well, so we've been very lucky so far.
Are you busting your head just itching to get back out there again, because this has gone on for quite a while and looks as if it could still go on for a good subsequent period?
Yeah, it's just trying to get some sort of structure into your day and into your life. Obviously there's a lot worse people off than us. There's so much tragedy and pain that people are going through at the moment. So football really is in the back seat. But in terms of trying to get back out in the pitch, obviously we're all desperate. So I'm not sure if there's any feasible way at this moment in time. But hopefully sooner rather than later we'll find a way through this.
Yeah, this could be a big week. Is it time in your mind, knowing that we don't look as if we're going to kick a ball again? Do you think it's time to call the league?
Yeah, I do. I think, that I have not heard one feasible argument for it yet in Scotland. We don't have the money that England do. The testing regime and putting players in hotels and maybe St George's Park that they're maybe going to do in England. We don't. That's not feasible for Scotland. And I hear people complaining about things, and nobody's come up with the ideas or solutions yet. So I think for me, Peter, we have to now get our heads around that. It's going to be very difficult to finish this season, so make a decision and then try and concentrate on how we get out of this situation in terms of next season. An A, B or C of, if the government does this, what do we do if we get the ability to get some crowds in, or TV, how do we work with TV with free to air matches? All that needs to be discussed, and I think the football brains and the football people, of which there's many good people in Scotland, that they now need to maybe accept the inevitable and try and make the future as best as we can look a little bit brighter.
The one sustained argument that I continually highlight on this show to everyone is because I'm sucking up government information, medical officers, what they're saying with regards to fans attending games of any sport across Europe, across the world. It could be a situation, Stephen, where we, without a vaccine, without testing, cannot allow fans to go to matches for the remainder of this year.
Yeah, it's getting more and more like that. You're hoping as this goes, and obviously the experts find out more about the virus, that there's a wee bit of a quicker solution to that. We hope that that would be the worst case scenario, but I think we have to prepare for that and plan for it. And as I say, that's why I think decisions need to be taken now. So this is unprecedented. It's nobody's ever experience this kind of thing. So it's easy to criticize, but nobody's ever had experience of it. So I think, as you say, it could be a scenario where there is no fans maybe until the end of the year, which, could be massive for people, could really hurt the game in Scotland.
Yeah, and with that in mind, it's all the more remarkable when you consider Aberdeen are celebrating 5,000 season tickets sold already for whenever the new season starts. The Motherwell fans have responded as well superbly.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, the game up here, it's people are obsessive about it, which is fantastic. People always told me about Scottish football and how obsessive the people were as a nation, and it's great, and it just shows their loyalty. Motherwell fans, I think there's nearly 1,800 season tickets sold already. In terms of the number of fans we've got, it's fantastic, especially in these times, Peter, when nobody knows actually whether they're going to have a job and where their money's coming from. Aberdeen to sell 5,000, credit to them and all the other clubs that are doing that as well. There has to be a massive amount of credit, but it just shows how valuable football clubs are to the community. They're a huge part of Scottish society. They really are. They're a huge part of bringing money into the country and, the income that comes into the country. So I think the government have to work with football, and we have to try and find a way together and sit down and speak about it.
Now, if they do indeed call it, I know you'd want to finish the season on the park, but with great credit, if they call it, Motherwell will be third. Motherwell will be looking at European football next season, which is a tremendous achievement when you consider the budget that you have.
Yeah, I think we've probably surpassed people's expectations. If the league was to be called now, or we'd finish in third and would be in Europe in whatever format that's going to be. I've no idea what that will be at this stage, but yeah, for all the staff and especially the players involved, they have to take an enormous amount of credit for the season that they've had, the consistency they've had, and some of the super football that they've played as well. So ultimately, we want to finish the season because I was confident we would finish in third. We just got David Turnbull back to the full fitness. He's a special player, and I was confident we could go on and finish that in the last 8 games. But in the grand scheme of it, Peter, we have to put everything into perspective. And if it is going to be a third place finish for us, then as I say, credit to everybody involved in it.
You've got a squad there at the moment. I think the realistic aspect of this is financially clubs will be reassessing the way they conduct their business, the way they go about retaining some of their squad, because I don't think there'll be too many people, never mind north of the border, south of the border and across Europe, who'll be able to spend huge amounts of money on signing players. I mean, is that something that you are looking at and thinking, well, this is going to drastically change the way I think?
Yeah, well, it'll have to, I think, across the board. I'm hoping Scotland isn't affected quite as much as England. I think a lot of clubs run themselves prudently up here within their means. But, it will have an impact, no doubt. If we, as we spoke about the crowds, it will have a serious impact. We do our business quite early. So, in terms of our squad, I think our budget will be affected. Again, we don't know that until we sit down and realise what are the implications of no fans, what will the budget be. There's boys that have offered contracts to, and you're not sure whether that can be honoured. There's boys that are injured and need operations. So we're looking for some sort of clarity and then something to work from. But I think there'll be some grave situations in Scotland and England. With the TV money down there, I think there'll be a massive fallout. But hopefully, we can get through this period. We're a well-run football club. We've got a very good chief executive in Alan Burrows and a fantastic chairman in Jim McMahon. And their sole responsibility will be to make sure the club's safe. And if they'll give me what they can afford to give me, that I always know there'll be nothing kept back. And in this situation, then we'll sit down and see what we have and go from there. And we'll deal with it. We'll deal with it whatever way we have to.
Yeah, one thing you've always emphasised as I, attend many of your press conferences is the fact that you've been able to change the way Motherwell have played, change the style of play. There's a nice breed of youngsters coming through in a strange sort of way. That might help you here.
Yeah, it's funny. My son said, "Well, you're going to play more young boys now, aren't you? Because you won't be able to sign anybody." But we always do. That's sort of been our policy, and I think a lot of clubs in Scotland are having to go that way, and I think it might force them even further to do that. But we've got a very good crop of young players. As long as we don't keep selling all of them at the same time. We've lost James and obviously Jake Hasty and Cads in recent months. But we've got a crop coming through. We believe that we've got a decent squad, and as you say, we don't know what we can add to that at the moment. But if that's what we're given, we'll get on with it. We'll keep developing them young boys, and it's not really too abnormal for us to do that. And we're quite confident that we can work with them young players.
Yeah, just a couple of points before you go, Stephen. They will eventually get round to talking about possibly expanding the leagues as well. Is that something you're pro or against?
I have to say, before this situation, it wasn't anything I give any kind of thought to. If there's a way to help everybody, and it has to be for the good of Scottish football, to make the product better, just people need to get round and see how we can make the game better. If people don't have to be punished in these circumstances, then don't punish them. I don't know a lot about it, and I have to be honest, I don't envy the people making decisions, because whatever they do, they're going to get criticised. You're never going to make everybody happy in these circumstances, and they're going to have to make bold decisions and be brave. And as I say, I'm glad I'm not one of those people making the decisions.
Yeah, as a side issue on this circus that is Scottish football, we have a lot of things to be proud of. But with trying to solve coronavirus, are you slightly embarrassed at the arguments that are going on elsewhere with regards to investigations, the resolution and everything like that? Is that something that do you think it has tarnished our image slightly?
I think that, yeah, people looking from the outside in, it doesn't read very well. But you have to remember, Peter, we've never been in these circumstances before, so everyone's very quick to criticise in life and in the world at the first opportunity. In the social media world that we live in, there'll be plenty of criticism of everybody involved in this process. But they've never done it before. No one's ever been in this situation before. So, I think it's a real difficult task. And yeah, things could have been done better, of course. I think people look back and go, could we have done this different? And hindsight's a great thing, isn't it? But, ultimately, they're making honest decisions to try and for the good of Scottish football, which isn't easy. And as I'll repeat, I certainly don't envy those people making the decisions.
Okay, before you go, I'm going to test your managerial skills. 10 years ago, this very day, 10 years ago this very day at Fir Park, Motherwell shared a 6-6 draw with Hibernian. Yeah, now you were 6. Now if you're 6-2 down at this point, I know for a fact, because I was actually working that night, I saw some of my mates who are Motherwell fans leaving the stadium at 6-2, some at 4-2. It was a disgrace. What would you have done as a manager? Did you Craig Brown was pulling his hair out what little he had on that night.
I think I had similar circuit. We were 4-1 down, 4-0 down or 4-1 down against St Mirren in the Cup this season. So I think half the crowd left. I was looking to go out with them as well, out the back door, but we stayed and we came back to 4-all. So not quite as obviously another 4 goals in the Hibs game. But as a manager, I've been in that circumstances, and you just think, just go out and don't concede any more goals, and then you score 1 and you think, oh, maybe. You score 2, you start getting your hopes up. You score 3 and you think, right, game on, and then you take it to, I think Motherwell missed a penalty in that game against Hibs as well, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
Missed a penalty at 6-5, because I seen it on TV this morning, and then what a goal it was to make it 6-all. So yeah, great memories, and obviously I can relate to the same feelings Craig was going through, but ultimately he came out with a point. I got knocked out of the cup, so he was probably happier than me.
Yeah, and last point, I have to say, full marks to you and your partner, because your hair is in good order, while most of the people on our show are looking like Wurzel Gummidge at the moment.
She's changing career now. I got her to cut my hair because it just kept going up in the air. So she's done all right. It's not too bad. So my hairdresser she's in trouble. Could save me 20 quid every week now.
Yeah, absolutely. Stephen, it's been a joy speaking to you. And if indeed the league is called, I think you deserve tremendous credit for guiding Motherwell to third. But thank you, and stay safe and well, you and the family.
No worries. Cheers, Peter. Thank you.
Yeah, good man. I got a lot of time for him, Roughie. I rate him highly. I think he's done a tremendous job there.
Yeah, they've been absolutely great. Particularly, touched on it briefly there, the amount of young players they can continue to generate year on year, and bringing the club a lot of money. And for Motherwell, that's a big plus for them. Some of the money they've been bringing in. Yeah, they've lost a couple of players through, not getting any money, which I think would be a bit of a grievance with them. But no, that third place is fantastic. If you're a Motherwell supporter year on year, it's just getting better and better.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting though, Hugh. He might have to actually rely on the youngsters, because I don't think a lot of clubs will have money to change the squads around.
No, well, what's going to happen as well, Peter, is that player demands for wages, if they're out of contract, which a lot of Scottish players will be coming the end of May, their demand for wages is going to come down as well. So there might be a few bargains out there to pick up. But yes, I think the way forward for Motherwell and why they were so active on the anti-Project Brave front was that they were producing players and players were going into their team. And what he's done, if you look at the players that have left Motherwell over the last couple of years, and he's managed to get them into third place, it's an astonishing achievement. I take my hat off to him. It's not just one season. He's consistently been an excellent manager.
Yeah, absolutely. Big friend of yours, Darren, good lad. Certainly, some people have suggested maybe he could be in line for the Northern Ireland job. I think Stephen still has time at club football to go, do you?
Well, he's still young. I think he will be in contention. I think it could be between him and Ian Barraclough, possibly Tommy Wright, but he's excellent, Peter. I've been in and watched them a training a few times. His energy, his enthusiasm, and his tactical know-how. Motherwell have gone from a team, a 3-5-2 physical team, to a 4-3-3 with legs and energy, and they've been great to watch. And as he said, he's lost good young players with that energy, but they have a great scouting network, and he knows people down south and players down south, and he takes chances on them, and I think he's done a wonderful job, and he believes in his staff. He's got great staff there.
Yeah, and of course, great confidence in his partner to cut his hair, which I can't share the same confidence for my own partner, who would shave me and make me look like Hugh McDonald for next week's show. It's always easy to shave the sides, Roughie. I've actually looked at there's a set of clippers online that you can get. I think they're about 50 quid. Mm-hmm. And you can shave the side of your head, but it's the top bit that's the big worry, when you start to take a big chunk out of it, and then it just goes mental.
No, I was listening to the radio this morning, and somebody was saying that the mullet's coming back. There's no hairdressers, so your hair will just have to go. It'll just have to grow and grow. So you'll just have to put up with it. Fashion's changing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say there's more chance of me. There's more chance of me buying the Sweets' greatest hits than embracing the mullet. Let me tell you, Roughie. Anyway, lots of people enjoyed listening to Stephen Robinson, and I certainly did. Yesterday we gave you the top 11. Not necessarily in the formation. I'm sure quite a few people jumped on it. We gave you the top 11 foreigners that were selected by you in the team of the last 2 decades, from 2000 to 2020. Here today are the top 11 Scottish footballers. Hey, I don't know about you, Hugh, but that looks a right good team, doesn't it?
Couldn't you argue with many of them, Peter? Could you? Always been a journalist, you always want an argument, and you're looking at it, and there's no many. I wouldn't argue. I think everybody there has got a really valid case to be in an 11.
Yeah, I mean the midfield looks fantastic, Roughie. Can you imagine Scott Brown and Barry Ferguson playing together?
Yeah, I can just imagine the 4 midfield players getting in a wee huddle before the game starts. I'm sure Barry would be up for that. Just before he take the game on.
You really are a moron. You are.
No,
You're indicative of some of the people who are actually posting messages here. Anything for a fight, but it is a good side, isn't it?
Two strikers, two proven goal strikers. Score for anywhere on the park. And that they would be absolutely, the service they would get from the four behind them would be absolutely fantastic. Be a joy, I think, if you're a striker.
Well, absolutely. And the back line, I think people are being maybe a little kind, or are they, Darren, on Andy Robertson for the short period of time in Scottish football, or you just got to give him it anyway, haven't you?
Well, I think 100%, Peter. It's what he's done since he's left Dundee United. He's had one real season in the Premiership, and he was unbelievable. And I'm not going to argue with it because I'm his biggest fan, but I'm pleased. I'm obviously pleased Jackie's in it. There's no doubt. There's absolutely no doubt he deserved that, because I think Jackie's the only. You can tell me I could be wrong here. He's the only person to win the Sports Writers Player of the Year, Sports Writers Young Player of the Year, Player of the Year, and Young Player of the Year.
Oof, there's a shout. That I think he may well be one who can lay claim to that, because I certainly only think of someone from the PFA perspective, and that's only because I was hosting the event, that I think Aidan McGeady won Young Player and Player of the Year, Hugh, but I certainly don't think they would have bagged all of them across the written press as well at times. I might be wrong.
I think Darren's bang on with that. Aidan definitely won the 2 PFA awards, but I can't think of anybody that's got that sort of grand slam of awards, no.
Yeah. Sean Maloney, I think, won Young Player and Player as well at one point. I might be wrong, but I'll have a look at it and see if we can. But it's a good shout, Darren, especially there. Alec Kelly says, Roughie, you can stick that huddle where the sun don't shine. I've actually just edited that a wee bit, Roughie. It doesn't actually say that. It says it in another way, but nevertheless, I thought it was worthy of your attention, to be honest with you. And Alan Brown makes a point. He says, I'm surprised Kenny Miller wasn't in the lineup. Yeah, listen, there's all sorts of players in there. Alan, I agree with you that may well have had for it, but I don't know about you, but it's certainly at Premier League level. I thought Boyd, Darren, had a tremendous ability to finish.
Well, when you're looking at both of them, I think Hugh's right. Kenny had a shout without doubt, the career Kenny had. I don't think anybody would argue with the two that's been picked. Boyd, his record is incredible. More a box player, where Griffiths, the wee man, yes, he scores goals in the box, but he likes to drift out right, coming in his left foot, striking. So I don't think you could have picked two better strikers with the record that they've got.
Yeah, the answer to the quiz, by the way, which defender spent his entire career at Dundee United, reached the UEFA Cup final in '87, played in 2 World Cups for Scotland, and went on to manage Motherwell? The answer, of course, was Maurice Malpass, and we've had Maurice on the show on more than a few occasions, Roughie, and he's had some great tales. He was good crack, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Every tale about Dundee United's magnificent years ended with, and Jim McLean spoiled it.
Yes, and another thing we didn't realise was he was a part-time player for a long time. I think he was doing a university degree, so he wasn't a full-timer for a long part of his career.
Yeah, and Jazz Sweeney, Hugh McDonald, has come up with something that we probably haven't noticed, but he's been monitoring the shows for quite a while and says there's always 5 minutes to go when Roughie really comes to life in the show, because he realises it's gin time and he's not too far away from a gin and tonic. And I don't know about you, Hugh, I've felt, the first 55 minutes he's been murder, and then he just really comes to life.
No, the honest truth is, Peter, I just came on the show in the back of a sort of a bad mood. I went into the garden and painted the picnic table and the chairs, 2 of them, and another 2 big ones of a particular colour. And I came in the usual boss of the house says, I'm not too sure about that colour. So you can imagine, I've got to go back out and paint that blinking table again.
Yeah, which is always a blow. The other thing I was going to say to you guys just before we go, and I think it would be remiss of me not to mention it, because if you're brought up, and I can only speak for myself in this, if you're brought up to realise there are two teams on the pitch, which is why I love football so much, and so many of the fans that we have that are following us, guys, then you appreciate players when you were a boy that you looked at and thought he was a really good player. And I had the good opportunity to speak with him about maybe over a year ago now. But it's Derek Parlane's 66th birthday today. Shares the birthday with you, Hugh. And I don't know about you, but I thought Derek Parlane was a great player.
Well,
there's no need to leave us, Hugh. I can't believe that, Darren. Can you? Honestly, I didn't know you didn't like him, Hugh. But there's no need to jump off the programme. You couldn't make that up, could you? Anyway, for the benefit of anyone, honestly, what a time to freeze! Look at him! Look at his face. That's fantastic.
He was actually fantastic. He was actually my striker in the Scotland under-18 team who got the semi-final of UEFA tournament, and Holland beat us in the semi-final at Ibrox. But you're right, Derek, again, proven goal scorer, and he was a bit of an idol as well. Very, very smartly dressed, as you can imagine, and super guy, brilliant. He was a great player to play with.
Yeah, and there he is. You're an absolute disgrace, by the way. Honestly, we just wanted a comment on Derek Parlane, and you decided to throw your phone.
Derek story on his birthday, which again coincidentally was my birthday all those years ago. He played.
We can't see you.
Finals.
You move your finger.
We can't see you because you need to move your finger over your camera. Yeah, there you are. What were you going to say?
He played on his birthday and on my birthday. I think it was my first legal drink birthday. He played in a great Scottish Cup final against Celtic, memorable one that Rangers won 3-2. And can you remember the winning goal, Peter?
Yes, because Derek Johnson headed the ball onto the post. It went right across the other end. And Tom Forsyth scored from 2 inches out with the last stud on the back of his boots. And I've met Tom on more than a few occasions, and he said, doesn't matter how far you're out, as long as they go in. So it was great, actually. It was good to run into Tam Forsyth as well. But Derek Parlane, great player. And by the way, Darren, he still looks in good nick now.
Yeah, well, I just saw pictures of him, Peter. Yeah, he's looked after himself. A lot of footballers let themselves go a little bit, but no, he's looked after himself, and he was a wonderful goal scorer. Yeah,
just a last second dig there from Darren at Roughie, but better putting a tackle in now than early on in the show, to be perfectly honest with you. Anyway, apart from anything else, thank you very much to everyone who's put across their messages of support for the show. If you are on Facebook, like, share and follow. We've got more and more people following us who are football fans. Thank you very much. As you can see on YouTube, I've started to ban some of the lunatics who spile bigotry, sectarianism and all sorts of abuse, and my apologies to any of you who have to suffer it. All I would say to you is concentrate on the football, subscribe to our channel, and we will continue to mention the positive people who have their brain firmly attached to their mouth and, of course, their fingers when they're typing messages. So to each and every one of you, thank you. All I would say now is it's his birthday. He's 65. I hope he has a great time. And there's David Dickinson there. There's Darren looking absolutely set. How Darren get changed, Roughie, into a suit like that in second. And the red curtains. I mean, he looks great, doesn't he?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Anyway, on that note, you'll never know how accurate that is. Well done to our producer. And happy birthday, Hugh. I hope you have a great night. Yes. Obviously in isolation, but I hope you have a great birthday, son.
That's right. Here with all my pals, Peter.
Absolutely. Listen, great to have you with us on the programme. As ever, always valued. To Darren David Dickinson Jackson. There he is, back with us. And there wasn't much difference, I can tell you, give or take the inflated price for a lamp. Other than that, it's good to have Darren with us and Roughie as well. Stay safe, everyone. Follow the rules. Stay close to your family and hope that you're well through this very difficult period. From everyone on PLZ Soccer and Peter and Roughie's Football Show, don't forget to like, share, follow and subscribe to us on YouTube. Thanks for watching.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.